Welcome, everybody. Somebody just said to me, what time does this 8:30 meeting start? 8:35, right? A couple announcements before we start. My name's Ron. I'm an alcoholic. How you all doing tonight? We have a workshop coming up January 28th. Bob D's coming here from Las Vegas, Nevada with Adrian C. It'll be held in this room 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Comes with a free lunch. It's totally free. Come out and see us for that. Our sister group, which is a big book study on Thursday night at Salem UCC Church, 186 East Court Street. He is coming out on the 26th ahead of time. So he's going to do that study with us that night. So if you're in town, come over. We're going to have a little party with that. What else do I have to announce? There's always a million things. Timmy, you want to take over here and get this party started? Because Barb came a long way. She walked from what is it, Long Beach, California?
Well, it's better than Liberia. Remember that one now? Good evening, folks. How are we doing? I'm Tim, and I'm an alcoholic. Let me first off by say happy holidays, everybody. It's a great time of the year. I want to welcome you tonight to the Conscious Contact Speakers Group of AA. Let me turn this over. This is a one-hour speaker meeting that's held every Saturday evening here at St. Paul's Lutheran Church, 301 North Main Street, 8:30 p.m. in Doylestown, PA. The purpose of our group is to provide a consistent message of hope and recovery through God reliance and service through others. To others through the practice and teachings of the 12 steps. We record all of our speakers so that others may benefit from their message of recovery. If you wish not to be recorded, simply ask. This is an open meeting of AA. The group would like to welcome everyone, especially newcomers. If there's anyone here who is new tonight from out of town, or this is your first meeting, if you'd like to introduce yourself with your first name, please do so. Yes, ma'am. Hi, Kathy. Welcome. Sir. Joe, welcome. Glad to have you. Yes, ma'am. Megan, welcome. All the way in the back, sir. Calvin, good to see you. Yes, sir. Sean, welcome. Great to have you. Yes, sir. Kenny, great to have you. Thank you. Okay. The Conscious Contact Speaker Group encourages sponsorship. Would anyone with a working knowledge of the 12 steps and is willing to sponsor, please raise your hands now. Awesome, awesome. If you're here looking for a sponsor, those hands are a lifeline for you. Are there any other announcements beside the one that Ron's had for any just general AA announcements? Yes, ma'am. Hi, Justine.
Dinner dance for New Year's Eve, and creative and able-bodied people are needed to decorate.
Thank you. If you didn't quite hear it, they're doing a New Year's Eve celebration over in Lambertville, the AA group. They're looking for able-bodied individuals to help decorate and set up. See Justine, she's in the back. You can't miss her. She is one of a kind. We have meeting lists here and big books on easy terms. Please see me or any home group member after the meeting. If you cannot afford a big book, the Conscious Contact Group will make one available to you at no cost. There is a little bucket in the back, though, for donations for the purchase of said big books, CDs, etc., etc. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. Yes, sir.
Tom, I apologize.
Hi, Tom. Apologize.
Tuesday night, Church of the Messiah, North Doylestown, 70th anniversary. Starts at 6:30 p.m. There'll be a AA speaker, an Alateen speaker, and an Al-Anon speaker.
Awesome. That sounds great.
8 o'clock this evening.
Church of Messiah. Thank you. I apologize. I'm sorry I didn't catch you. If any of you would like to have a copy of a previous speaker, again, past or present speakers, they are all available on CD. Please see Ron. They are available free of charge. I would now like to ask Kayla to come up to read our AA preamble.
Kayla, alcoholic? Kayla. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution. It does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And I have asked Luli to come up and read the AA 12 Steps of Recovery.
Hi, I'm Louie. I'm an alcoholic. And these are the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. Number 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol and that our lives had become unmanageable. In the second step, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. We then made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. In step 4, we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Step 5, we admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. In 6, we decided we were entirely ready to have God remove all of these defects of character, and then humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings. Step 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. In 9, we did make direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Step 10, we continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. On to step 11, we sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God, as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. And in 12, having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Thanks.
As you guys all well know, there is a 7th tradition here in AA. Every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. At this time, we'd like to pass the baskets from the outside in, all the way from the front to the back. As you know, there are no dues, no fees, but we do try to put on a nice show for you guys with coffee, the donuts, the sliders, the sausage, and it goes on and on and on. While you're doing that, if you could take a few moments and silence your cell phones. Either turn them off, that would be preferable, or mute at the very least so that we don't have a disturbance in the midst of our speaker tonight. I'd also like to remind all of you that will continue to be, until the end of time, no smoking on this church property. Please go across the street over to the Dairy Queen, wherever you can. Just please be very aware of the need to keep this place as clean as we possibly can. It is now a real treat. Not that they haven't all been wonderful treats, but rarely do you get a chance to introduce somebody who's had the amount of sobriety as it looks like we have tonight. I would like to tell you how impressive it is, and I'd like to tell you that we're extremely excited to have our speaker tonight. She is from Long Beach, California. We have her on loan tonight from her home group, the Big Book Group. Tonight, please welcome Miss Barbara F.
That's fine. Thank you. I'm Barbara, and I'm an alcoholic. Hi, Barbara. And first thing I have to tell you guys, I didn't put on the high heel shoes, okay? I hope you don't mind. And Jim and Kayla, you better not tell my sponsor, Clancy, that I was here in Southern California. We dress up for AA town. You wear your furs and your silks, and honey, they come in the big cars, and we go to the early birds meeting, and afterwards to Carnation for ice cream, and we think we'd been somewhere. Oh boy, I'm a recovered alcoholic, and it's a privilege to come here. It's always a privilege to do anything in Alcoholics Anonymous, but to come all the way over here. Now, I didn't come from Long Beach tonight, and I didn't get sober in Long Beach. I came from West Hartford, Connecticut. What happened is I got sober in San Diego, California, and I always want to give San Diego the credit because we had some fantastic Alcoholics Anonymous people there. Oh, I just think it's wonderful, and so do people in San Diego. You know, we get a little horty-torty sometimes, but I did spend quite a bit of time in Long Beach working. So that's when I left I joined the Big Book group in Long Beach, California. So actually, this is how we're supposed to introduce ourselves. We do that. My name is Barbara F. My sponsor is Johnny H. My home group is the Big Book group in Bellflower. And my sobriety date is May 21st, 1973. And that's how we introduce ourselves there, you know. And it's just a privilege to be here and to be anywhere in Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm what you call a chronic alcoholic. And I'm always comparing myself to all you people coming in here. You know, I go, I had to do this. How come they don't do no concepts? I had to do all that stuff. I think, you know. But I'm so grateful to be in Alcoholics Anonymous. If I wasn't in AA, I don't know what I'd do. You know what? Alcoholics Anonymous is the only thing I ever had that relieves the pain of life. And that's what I have. Now, I hope I thanked everybody, because I always forget to thank Ron and you guys. And I have AA babies here. I have to thank Jim. I live in West Hartford, Connecticut now. I've been sick ever since I moved from Southern California. But I live in West Hartford, Connecticut, like the last 2-3 years. And I have been sick the whole time I've been there. But I moved because my daughter, and I have 4 grandchildren. Now I have a new grandson. He married my granddaughter. And I don't hardly ever see a grandchild. I said, where are the grandkids, you know? But anyway, I do live in West Hartford, Connecticut now, and I want to thank Jim for driving me over here. Slim Jim, Ron calls him, you know. And I love Jim so much, I sponsor him now. I gave him a 40-year cake in July. And he'll call and check, and I say, you know, I have so many wonderful experience in AA, and I get to going on and stuff. He goes, oh look, I got to go now, I got to go now. That means I'm talking too much, you know. And I'll say, okay, Jim, okay. But I love him so much, you know, and I just enjoy his company. I know he gets sick of me sometimes, but you know, you can't tell your sponsor that. I knew I get sick of my sponsor that. And then my wonderful babe, Kayla, lives in New Jersey, and she and Jim came over to be here. They're so kind to me. My AA birthday, they came over to West Hartford and took me out. You know, I just love it, you know. I never wanted to sponsor anybody. And for 42 years, the most wonderful human beings have been in my life. I just can't begin to tell you, but thank you so much. Thank you, Jim. I bought this. I'm not cheating, you guys. You know, I'm not reading from anything. When I first came to AA, I didn't trust anybody speaking up there. I thought they were all cheating or saying something. You know, they sound too good, some of them. Especially Norm Alpy, he's dead, and then Norm Alpy, I thought they paid him to speak. He was so good. But I bought this, I talked to Ron, and Ron was asking me about this guy named Harry Homer. And I have so much crap, you know what I mean? And so here I was looking for a prayer for some ladies, and I said, well, I be doggone, there's Harry Homer's picture. My higher power is really doing a lot since I'm getting older. I mean, that higher power is working overtime, you know, trying to help me. So I said, oh, let me grab it and take it so I can take it to Ron. And this was, he died in 2010. He would have had 61 years, but he's from Philadelphia. And he moved to Southern California. I want to tell you, this was one of the most wonderful individuals in Alcoholics Anonymous you'll ever meet. And his name was Harry Homer, and I had to bring it, you know. But anyway, I was born in Virginia, and this is my story, okay? I've thought about it for all these years. So I know this alcoholic. I was born an alcoholic. And I was born genetically where I cannot metabolize ethyl alcohol. That's what physically happens to me, and I know that. And there's a lot of other stuff goes on in this with this illness that Bill Wilson talks about. Now, I don't have a disease. I never had a disease. You know, Bill Wilson fought so hard to keep people from calling it a disease. He lost that battle. Everywhere I go, he'll say, oh, the disease, not, well, they may have a disease, but I have an illness. Every disease I've ever had, including breast cancer, the doctors could cure. But they can't cure this. This is an illness, like he said. It's almost like being retarded, or I'm not putting it down, retardation, but you can't get rid of it. I can't ever get cured of this. I will die an alcoholic. And I knew that. You know, I'm going to tell you something. I think about it so much because when I was young, I had a wonderful childhood. Sometimes I wish somebody else could have grown up in that childhood and made a better, you know, use of it. But I had a wonderful family, I had cousins. I couldn't say I didn't belong. I looked just like everybody else and everything. But I had that feeling. You know, it was almost like I was born and I didn't feel good. And years later, I had a drink of liquor and I felt, whoa, I felt good, you know. But I had that feeling in me. And you can't explain it to your mother. You can't tell your father and your doctor. They don't understand that. And so I had that feeling, and I love the sad songs. Pretend you're happy. Remember that one? And smile. And I'm just crying and listening to the song. And I have nothing to be sad about. I had a fantastic life. I had wonderful education. Good parents, you know what I'm saying? But it was in me. I just had that in me. So I went into a dream world. And a dream world is pretty good to grow up in if you're a drunk like me, you know. I enjoyed everything. I was okay. And I remember I was in school. I was Miss Freshman, Miss Homecoming, most popular, all that crap. And I didn't even like those people. It was like, it wasn't so much I didn't like them. I never felt comfortable with people, even my own family. And sometimes, I have to be honest, I feel comfortable with Alcoholics Anonymous, and sometimes I don't feel comfortable with you as an alcoholic. But that's my illness, and I have to tell myself, forget it, Barbara, and get on in there and stay. You know, but that's just part of my alcoholism. And so I went on through school, everything was fine, the parents are okay, they think I'm sweet, and I didn't drink in high school. If I had drank in high school, I don't think I'd be here tonight. But what happened to me, it was time to go to college. And I didn't know where I wanted to go. And my dad said, just pick somewhere. I said, NYU. Oh, you can't go to New York. Man, he sure was good I didn't go. Man, I wouldn't have lasted 2 weeks, drunk as I used to get. And so I didn't know where to go. But I had a speech teacher in high school who said, look, go to the school I went to. I went to a big school in Ohio, and you'll like it. I said, okay. So I sent away to this big school. And what a pompous group they are, you know. He said, well, we are glad you like our outstanding university. On occasions, we allow Virginians to matriculate in this fantastic school and all that. I said, who are these people? So I did go there. I went there. And I'm in ninth. When you get as old as I am, you don't care if they know your age, ladies. So you'll go to that. But 1958, I was a freshman at the Ohio State University. There were 5,000 of us freshmen in St. John's Arena, and President Fawcett said, and you know, I had never been out of Virginia. Can you imagine? I'm shaking. I don't know what to do. So he said, stand up. We stood up. Look to your right. We looked. Look to your left. That person will not be here next quarter. I said, oh, God. My first sponsor said we should do that in AA. That's a good one for AA. And so I knew they weren't playing with me, you know. So there I am in the school, and I knew I had to do something, and that's why I just wanted to be a lady. I had a granddaughter, she wanted to be a nurse, and she's in Pennsylvania now. She just left Sloan Kettering. I'm so proud of her. She's working here at the University of Pennsylvania. She just got a job. She calls me. She said, "Oh, Nana, I love being a nurse." Don't that make you feel good, man? She likes it when they're in intensive care and everything, you know. So she's in Pennsylvania now. And, I'm so proud of her. But she wanted to be a nurse. The other one wanted to do something else, you know. All I ever wanted to be was a lady. And I thought ladies drank martinis. I think those martinis are the most beautiful things I ever seen in my life, and they still look good, you know. I never drank martinis. Not enough booze in that little glass for me, you know. But they are beautiful. And I thought, oh my God, Loretta Young used to swing back with that thing. Oh, it was gorgeous, you know. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to learn how to drink. So when I got to the Ohio State University, they said, "Yes, ma'am, you're not going to waste our time, and we're not going to waste yours, you know." So they said, "What do you want to do?" So I went into theater. I thought it'd be glamorous. How dumb. I'm in the theater all night, paint everywhere, you know, trying to make sets, and in classes all day, you know. And then I'm drinking when I can. And I get drunk, and every time I drink, I black out. I really started off blacking out. And it's a bad thing to do. And I was so dumb, I didn't know you could drink the next day, you know, to get going. And I had the worst hangovers. In fact, I always kept somebody in med school because I regurgitate. I threw up so much, man, it's just crazy, you know. In fact, I don't want to get ahead of my story, but one time, later in the career, my parents had told my ex-husband, said, "Look, she is drinking too much. Something's got to happen." My mother said, now something's going to be done. So they sent me to the University of Virginia Hospital, and they had a real experimental program there. Now, this is way before I got sober. And they couldn't say alcoholism, you know, especially for women. So they said depression or something for me to get me in there. And it was very expensive, and because my husband at the time worked for the NFL, National Football League, played for it, and I went there, you know. And you know how we don't want to go there in January. I went there after Christmas or sometime. And had a little daughter. My parents kept her in Virginia. And I went there, and by the time April came to go home, man, I liked it there, you know. They let us go drink, you know, and they test you and all that, and come back. Oh, we had a ball in there, you know. And so what happened to me there is that I had a doctor from England. He was on sabbatical, and he gave me 2 compliments. One time I said, "Look, Dr. B, I want you to," you know, because I watch a lot of movies, and I know they do this. You lay on the couch, and they give you money, some kind of medicine, you just tell them what's wrong with you. And he was a foremost authority on lysergic acid, which is LSD, you know, he wrote books on it, and he used it for people with profound, deep mental problems. There are people like that, profound, deep ones, you know. And so I said, "Why don't you do that for me?" He said, "Barbie, you don't open a watch with a crowbar." Now that I thought was a compliment. You guys may not have got it. But when you're as drunk and sick and down as I am, any little compliment, it means something. But he also told me, he said, "You know, we don't think you're an alcoholic because you regurgitate so much, you throw up so much." And he says, "But I have to tell you, we don't have an answer for you here." He said, "But if you just hang in there, one day you're going to find a way to live that's going to be wonderful." And in my bedroom one morning, I had the TV on. He was doing something in the news. And I thought, God, I want to call it and tell him I found it. And say, "Hey, I found a way to live that's incredible, you know." And I didn't do it, but I just wanted to. Anyway, so what happened to me, I'm in college, and, you know, one quarter the grades are up, the next quarter, you know, they don't know what they let into the Ohio State University, you know. They're always outstanding, you know. And so, And so one day, I went to a movie. The movie was The Days of Wine and Roses. I don't know whether I was a junior or senior in college. From that moment that I saw that movie until right now, I've known I was an alcoholic, you know. I had no doubts in my mind. And I identify with Lee Remick's role. Her role was that she was going to Never Ever Land, go to Skid Row and die out there. Now, when I first saw that movie, I didn't see no A of A in there. The first time I saw it, I never saw Alcoholics Anonymous. I didn't know about any Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm in Ohio where it started. I don't know anything about any A of A, you know. And so, but that movie stuck in my mind, and I knew I was an alcoholic no matter what. So anyway, I got married. I married this guy who took me to my first prom and gave me my first orchid. He was a year ahead of me. He went to Indiana, and then I was still in school another year. And then we got married. He was at Indiana, and I was at Ohio State. And we're on a quarter system. I think he didn't know what I was doing. See, I didn't drink in high school. So we had this huge wedding. And you have to stand in those lines and all. In the wedding night, I had to get there, Jack. I had a big vat or whatever you call that stuff, champagne, anything to drink. I have to drink. I need a drink. And he was shocked. But that was a little bitty shock to get him ready for what he was going to have to face being married to me. That was a little tiny thing to wake him up, Jack. Wow. Because he realized, man, what he went through. He could write a book. He just died June 12th. He died after a long, wonderful career and everything. He was a wonderful grandpa and father to our daughter and everything. But, and he just, on my 40th AA birthday, well, he did it because he wanted a football back. He'd given me a nice, beautiful bracelet. He wanted one of those ball things. But he gave me a gold 40 because he thought Alcoholics Anonymous just won. And he did say he wished he could have gone through the AA with me, you know. At the time that I got sober, you know, no woman had a husband, believe me. We drunks didn't have nothing. But anyway, so here I am married to him, and we're in San Diego, and you know what it's like. I was on a pedestal. Because the coach was a Buckeye, his wife was a Buckeye. I was on there for about 30 minutes. Because I get drunk and everywhere I go and I black out. And I have never blacked out and became Lady Di. I don't know why. I used to say, why couldn't that be a nice little thing? I'm always cursing somebody and doing all kinds of things, you know. But I never have to happen to me. And so that's what happened. It went on and on and on. So let me get sober. I mean, I did some horrible things in San Diego. Now if I'm there, somebody say, oh, I know you. And I go, oh, Lord, is that before AA or after AA in San Diego, you know? Boy, you just don't know. You don't ever live that stuff down if you have a family like mine. I have a lot of male cousins. And we'll get together. You remember that time when I said, God, yeah. And they always can remember that stuff, you know. It's amazing. But they love me and they respect it. Anyway, so what happened is, first time I went to jail, you know, the Chargers had won the championship. You know, it was a long time ago, huh? When they won the championship. Anyway, and everybody was partying. The coach fell off the plane. Everybody was drunk. And so we ended up one of the guys' bar. And, you know, I had been drunk for days, you know. And I'm in the bar, and then I don't know whether you guys, I used to pass out. But I sometimes had these little mini, I know you had some of those, you guys had them. You sit and you go, for a few minutes, and then you come back, you know? And so I'm in this bar, and I go, and I come to, everybody's gone, they left me. So I said, hey, I gotta go to the party. They're having the Hilton on the team, so there's a big party. So I get in my car, and I drive to my house. We had just bought a new house. Hadn't had time to put the garage door opener in. I didn't have time to stop and open the garage door, so I drove through the stuff and see if Earl's car was there. His car wasn't there. So I put the car in and I went out. I'm going to the Hilton Inn. Way out there, you have to go down 5 and come up the access road. But I kept thinking they had made another road. They made one for SeaWorld. So I'm going to go across 5, and one of San Diego's finest stopped me. Get out of your car. I don't know what about you. They always shook me when they got me. Shake you. Throw me in the back of the car. You're going to kill somebody. And so I went into a blackout. Man, that's the way to go to jail, I guess. So I'm in jail, and I must have been screaming at the door because they said, we told you if you shut up, we'll let you out of there. And I shut up, and I got out. And man, I was so embarrassed. I had to call the coach, you know. I was really embarrassed because I had to tell Coach I was in jail. And I got out, and the attorney was there. And I said, please keep it out of the newspaper, you know. And so I got home. I didn't sleep. I walked all night. And I heard the guy throw the paper and hit the porch, and I got it, and I went through every page. It didn't make the paper. I'm sorry, it's me. It's me. I didn't make the paper. So I went downstairs and made myself a drink. And I said, you know what? God made me. He made me a drunk. He makes the booze, so he must need for me to drink it. And so I just said, hey, I paid the cost of the waltz. And my booze just went on my seat. And I drank. I didn't hide my liquor from anyone. And the second time I went to jail, I liked jail. It is a degenerative type disease. You get worse. and so that's what happened to me. You know, I got worse. The alcohol got so bad. And then, you know, you get to the point where you think, God, I'm going to be in Skid Row. I made Skid Row in a custom-built home. And it feels comfortable. That's what's so scary. When Skid Row and that idea feels so comfortable, it's all right to keep on drinking, you know? Because you say, God, if I just go to sleep and die, it'll be all over. But we don't. Most of us don't die. And so what happened to me, and I'm here, I'm getting sober, what happened to me is that I had trouble with my locks when I drank. Now, nobody lived with me. My drinking buddy, Louis Prophet, said, flies won't even come around you. I was so bad. So one time, I have to tell you this little story out. Insane alcoholic son. Louis Prophet was my drinking buddy, you know. And one day he was over my house, I wouldn't let him come in my front door. He had to come always come in the back door. I don't know why. But Louis came in there, and I kept saying, Louis, you're putting drugs in my liquor. Because I couldn't handle it, you know. So he said, what? We both drunk as guys. You're putting drugs in my liquor or something because I can't handle it. So I called the police. They came to my house, 2 of San Diego's finest. They had some good-looking cops and police, but they were 2 of San Diego's finest. And I'm there trying to say, see, he put drugs in them, and they looking, and oh crazy, Louis Prophet talking about, let me see. I mean, if we could just have videos of us. It's just horrible. We're just horrible. So anyway, I was having trouble with my locks. And so I got through. This is where my higher power came in. Because I took the big book, they don't use them anymore, I don't think. The phone directories, the yellow pages. My grandkids says, oh, nobody uses that, Nana. And I do. But anyway, so I was going through it. I would still like to use it. So I went through the A's for locksmiths in San Diego. I got all the way through all the A's and the B's, and I got to the C's, and I got to Cliff's Lock and Key. That was God. C-L-I-F-F, and then his last name, L-O-C-K-E, and Key. And he came out. And I said, oh, you want a drink? You know, I'm a nice hostess. He said, no, thank you. I don't drink. I'm an alcoholic, and I think you're one, too. I said, I don't think you're supposed to do it like that. And so this man worried me to death. You know how you guys cross-step people. So I agreed to go to a meeting, and it was on a Wednesday. Now, in San Diego County and Imperial County, there were no AA meetings allowed on Wednesday except one, and that was at the War Memorial in San Diego in the park. And there we would have a speaker meeting. That's where you went, got your 90-day token and your cake 1, 5, and over. And so that particular night I was on the wagon and I visited the meeting. And they had a guy there who was a producer from Hollywood. And he had everything, everything. And he got drunk and drank, he lost it, came to AFA and got it all back. And I said, Cliff, oh, you guys do real good for chronic alcoholics. Keep helping those chronic alcoholics. You see, I have a mild case. So I left, and I thank God, so let me let this lady get chronic. And I did. So I didn't know what year it was. I couldn't write. I used to go to this bank and stand, what's called the California Canadian Bank downtown. And I'd go and I'd stand in the back. I had on my little drunk outfit, the hat and the coat. It was poodle cloth, you know, chartreuse ladies, you know, but it was from the Lions department store. You know, it was supposed to be the cat's meow and everything. So you could just pull it down. I still have it. I told my daughter, don't you ever throw my outfit out, you know. Like I can always remember, you know. And I'd pull that over and stand in the back of the bank until everybody else would go, and then I'd go up to this guy, make a joke. Oh, you know, you're going to be the president. They don't have no mayor, will tell us. And this guy did all my writing for me. He had to write my name. I couldn't write. And I went to the largest university in this country, and alcohol had me, so I couldn't write. And I thought I was speaking Apache. I really did. I mean, I'd go to the liquor store and go, oh, yummy, 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 you know. Somebody's crazy because they act like they understood me. I said, they're crazier than me, you know. And so the worst thing about it, you know, is there in San Diego in 1973, the only place they would take women was to detox, to jail and county mental health. Maybe, now you cannot tell me that's not insane. A woman, 33 years old, walking around town in this crazy thing, hadn't had a bath or something in years, and talking about yama, 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 you know. And so if they had called the police, they may have taken me to county mental health and put something in my arms, and I never would have been able to make it here, you know. Oh, God, I'm so grateful. And so in those days, in 1973, though, there was no detox for women in San Diego. It was against the law to even treat us. We had an old doctor, and he had arthritis. I mean, he would sneak around and see us. Let me tell you what they had in those days. That's when they started having recovery homes in Alcoholics Anonymous. There was no government in there. Everything was tax-free. No government, no 12-step programs yet, just Alcoholics Anonymous, which is not a 12-step program. Some people say, what? I said, don't you know what it is? Anyway, so you couldn't treat women alcoholics. So they started recovery homes on a shoestring in AA. And what they would do in San Diego, we had 2 in 73. They both started in 70. And what they would do, the police get an old drunk woman and call AA Central Office. And so you have a bed, and they would check with Crossroads or Turning Point, where I ended up, and they would take the drunk woman there. And there, that's where the detox, we had the DTs, and none of us were just open, what they said, let the bottom up. Oh, no. We were all bottom drunks, honey. There was no question about me. I have never been misdiagnosed. Never. No one ever had to say, what's wrong with you? Nobody ever said that. They always know I'm a drunk, I'm an alcoholic. I've never been misdiagnosed. And so that's how the recovery home started. And AA did them on a shoestring, no money. My first sponsor used to raise vegetables to feed us. And so what happened to me, though, I wasn't ready for all that. But I had a friend who was my drinking buddy. Her husband had been a sports writer, and mine played ball, so we kind of both loved that tequila. And so we were friends, Jack, drinking buddies. And so she had come, let me tell you how wonderful it is. She had come to AA a month before me. And she called me. I didn't even know how to do phone numbers. She said, Barbara, if you come to my house and go with me to a meeting, I'll take you to the liquor store. So I got in this little white Toyota I had, and I drove up. It was a busy Friday afternoon, and I got there, and that damn little Toyota stopped on me. that little Toyota. So I get out of the car, one of San Diego Finance goes up the street, and I'm laying them out because I'm a tax-paying citizen, and they're not helping me. And you know, if they had to stop and taken me in, you guys know what could have happened to me. That was God. My higher power, I just choose to call it God. So what happened is, a car with brothers in it. Now, you guys don't know the lingo. Brothers is a car full of black guys. And they said, little sister, can we help you? I said, yeah, I got to get the DDs. So they picked me up. I left that little Toyota, and to this day, I don't know whatever happened to that little Toyota. That little sucker stayed there. And I got the DDs. And Dee I went to that meeting with her. I was drunk as a skunk, my second meeting. And one of my drinking buddies was there, and he had a wife named Cheney. And I called her my little black angel. He said, help her, Cheney. She's pretty good when she's sober. She took my number. Nobody gave me numbers, people. I said, I didn't think you're supposed to do it like that. You know, they said, no, you're the sickest person we knew in AA in San Diego, and you weren't going to get nobody's phone number. And so they took me to the liquor store, and I had all kinds of liquor you can imagine. I didn't have nobody in my house. I'm glad the daughter was in Virginia, the husband, he's been gone. Nobody, no flies, nothing, just me and booze. And I had it everywhere, every kind you can imagine. And so she took my number and she called me this Cheney. She said, you want to be sober? I said, yeah. Get up and take a shower. I take a shower and come and lay in the same place. And I didn't take a drink. And it took me 30 years to realize that I had recovered at that second meeting. Because we don't recover ourselves. We don't do the 12 steps and recover. You understand? But I had recovered through the grace of God. And that means I never have craved a drink of liquor that I used to crave. And I had been looking for it every year I've been in AA. Until 1932, I had cancer and went through cancer chemotherapy, and I realized after I had never thought about taking a drink of liquor. I used to get drunk over the gas and electric bill in San Diego. Yeah, I didn't drink, you know. And so but I did. But here I was, and I didn't drink because I didn't want to. And so that's when she said, get up. And I said, how'd she know my house is dirty, you know, and all that. So, anyway, what happened, the main thing is she got me to the turning point. Now, that's a good thing it was a good stuff. I would have gone anywhere. I was that sick, sad, and sorry. You know, I was that sick. And so I ended up in the turning point, and I thought, oh my God, what did I do? You know, when you come, all these drunk women in there. But I went to college, you know, like that mattered. And so what happened, and why I'm standing here tonight, it was on a Thursday night, was the first night I had to leave the recovery home and go to a meeting. And they had the back end and it's still there, called the way back. And the back end of that ran, and so we'd go out the back door and go in. And I went to the way back. And in those days, you know, the way back was real low bottom drunks. If you had a watch, they'd turn you over to Pathfinders, you guys, over on 30th Street. But you didn't have to go into meetings and wonder if any drunks in there like you have to do sometime in the meetings I go to in Connecticut. Ain't there any alcoholics in here? You knew they were all drunks in there. We never had to worry about what we had. And so there I was, and I'm sitting, I'm not listening. I don't need to hear that stuff. I don't like you people, I'm not going to do this. And a man mentioned Mercedes and Cadillacs and Mercedes. And he got my attention. And this man was saying he had everything. Oh, he went through everything. And he started crying. And I turned around, he was behind me. And there in 1973, there was a man standing, tears running down his cheeks. And I don't ever want to forget that. He said, I lost everything. I don't even have shoes. And he was barefoot. And that was my first moment of clarity that I had in AA. And I said, Lord, I don't want to lose anything else. And you know, I never knew that man's name. That man has had the most profound effect on my entire adult life. And I never knew his name. And I think that's what Bill Wilson meant by anonymity, being the spiritual foundation for this. He loved that tradition. That was his anonymity step, was his first. He loved it. And so I ran back to the recovery home and told her I didn't want to do anything else. I want to try it. So I said, okay, I'm going to try it. Now I'm trying it. But you guys know how alcoholics think. So 90 days later in San Diego, they give you a 90-day token. It's the only bona fide token in the whole United States and Canada. And they like to brag about it. You can't get it from anywhere but there. Bill Wilson came and said, no, don't do it. He didn't like it. But you know alcoholics, they do it anyway. And so they still have it. And so I had to go get my 90-day token. Cheney was coming, so I had a friend in AA who said, I've admitted to my innermost self that I'm an alcoholic. I couldn't do that. I still had a little bitty thought in my mind. One day I will be a little bit different from you guys. I can pick up a drink. It's not going to happen to me like that. That thought was way back there. And so I said, well, what I'm going to do is go get drunk and come back, because they say you can come back. So I went out and got a black and white scotch, put it in the trunk of my car, went to the turning point to the meeting to get my token, and I'm standing there, and this really happened. And the front door opened, and this hag came in. And she's crying and bleeding, and she said, Lord, if you're thinking about drinking, please don't do it, don't do it. And I looked at her. She had been in Turning Point with me. I knew her, Betty. And God, she said, oh, don't drink. I said, Lord, this God stuff is something, you know. So I made a pact with myself. Until one of you guys goes out, gets drunk, and come back in here looking good, I'm not going out there, you know. Been 43 years, but there are other reasons why through the years. And so anyway, that's how it went. And it got going, and I had my sponsor, came my sponsor, and I tell you, I didn't pick anybody. He had the same guy who took me to my first meeting. And did I end up in a wonderful group. I came out of Jimmy Burwell's. He started AA in Pennsylvania. He wrote We Agnostics. He took out of tradition free on the word honest. He took out of step 7, on our knees. And he is the one that started Alcoholics Anonymous here. And I was in his sponsorship line. He sponsored Chuck Barlow, who sponsored, what's his face? Can you think of him? Tommy, who sponsored Cliff, who sponsored me. And there I was. Those men about drove me crazy because I wasn't going to do all this work here, you know. So that's where I got into AA, and I was in San Diego, and I had to do it all, the steps, the traditions, and concepts. They did have concepts 43 years ago, and we did have to do them all, okay? And so I've had a wonderful sobriety. And I mean, you know what it is? It's like, it's little moments of clarity, on and on and on. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's like going up steps. You go up, it's not a perfect, but you go up steps and you come back down. Then you go back up 2 or 3, and you don't ever come back to the bottom. And as much as I didn't want to be in AFA, I have to admit, it was always a little bit something that made my life a little better. And I fell in with this group called the Early Birds. They used to have a big guy standing at their meeting. It was the first original young people's group in San Diego. If you were a day over 35, you couldn't come in the meeting. And before I got there, they had a big guy, they said, stand at the door. He checked your ID. And I said, Lord, by the time I got there, they were all old, pulling oxygen and could hardly get in there. Because they were taking anything in the Early Birds. By the time I got there, they were so old. And that's where I learned how to live and to love. And I had a wonderful life. I got transferred to Texas, and I went down to Texas for General Dynamics. And there I am down there. I thought, I can't do it. And my great-grand sponsor, Chuck, said, look. And he gave me a prayer called Why Choose Fear? It's the most beautiful thing in the world. And here's a man who's an agnostic. And Jimmy Burwell never became a God man, but he was a spiritual giant. He said, whatever you believe is what you're supposed to believe. And I believed it, thought never was a God. He said, so what? Don't make you any better than me. So you believe what you're supposed to believe and don't fight. Just quit fighting, he said. That's all he meant. I said, why'd you write all that stuff? He said, because we needed a big book. But all he wanted us to do is to stop fighting. And so there I am in Texas, and I want to tell you, we were down in the Rio Grande Valley, and I was in the Harlingen group, and that's the poorest county in all of the United States, Cameron County, Texas. And we had to have raffles and do all we could to make money just to buy chairs. And I had left rich AA in San Diego where we had everything. You know what I mean? We had everything, and here I am, and these people stayed just as sober, and we're just as wonderful down there. It was wonderful. Here I was trying to be anonymous in this city. Now, they didn't have many black women down there. I think it was 3 of us or 2 in the whole city. And when General Dynamics was going to transfer me, then they said, they don't need you down there to meet no quotas. I said, okay. He said, you go down there if you like to work and they like you, you're going to go. And I did. And so there I was, and I was in Harlingen. And we had one little old church rectory where we had the meetings, about to fall down. And I had a blue rabbit that said The Ohio State University on the back, California license, and I was trying to be anonymous. And it was a real hard thing. But anyway, I left there, and it was, it just added to my sobriety. And then I was transferred back to Long Beach. Before I got transferred to Texas, when I got into AA, I wanted a job. You know, we all think it's my time. I'm sober 3 years. So anyway, I got a call on my Green Princess one day, and he said, will you come and apply for our job? Now, you guys won't believe this, but it happened. And I went and I started working under the auspices of an international consultant. Can you believe that? And he liked me because I didn't drink. And so it became I just wanted to tell you, that was a wonderful thing that happened to me in Alcoholics Anonymous. And one of the worst things that happened in 1994, my first sponsor died. And oh my God, my sponsor and I, there's another place in heaven. I have my grandfathers, my father, Woody Hayes, and my sponsors. They got to be up there, And so my sponsor was a little old man out of Missouri. He never finished 8th grade. So when I went down to Texas to work, he wrote me a letter. It was the only letter he'd ever written in his life. Can you imagine to have a sponsor that I respected and loved so much? So when he died, he left a wonderful little Dutch lady named Billy. She has 55 years of sobriety as of November the 17th. And she's still in San Diego. So what happened is, after he died, my sponsor had been a delegate after Cliff Roach, and we had a big memorial for him. And I had decided, God, I'm not going to ask for anything for him, no jewelry, no big book. I'm going to see if you're a better picker than I am. I told my higher power that. So one Sunday after his memorial, I'm having coffee with Billy in her home. She said, Barbara, she said, I saved some of Cliff's ashes. She said, I'm going to sprinkle some around the roses, and I saved some for me, and I saved some for you. And she gave me some of her husband's ashes. And I took them there. Their grandson is an artist, so it wasn't just ashes. I had never had anybody's ashes in my hand. In my religion, we don't even do that, I don't think. And so I had him. Here's the sponsor in my hand, And so I go to my car, and I got to go back to Long Beach from San Diego, and I go, where do you put the sponsor? Do you put him in the back seat? Do you put him in the front seat? And I'm just going, I'm crazy. And so then Billy comes to the door and says, honey, are you okay out there? And it took me 25 minutes to figure out where I'm going to put this damn sponsor. So I finally found a little place, to put him in the front up there, so he wouldn't bounce around or nothing. And so then I thought, Lord, I'll get him back to my little cottage in Long Beach, and my grandson who lived in West Hartford, Connecticut, would come out there and knock him down. But I got back to West Hartford, to Long Beach, and when I was in Texas, they had gone to the Mayo Clinic, and they bought me a lock and box, Buckeye wood, from Ohio, and that's where the sponsor went. And that sponsor's ashes are on my mantle today. You want to know something? It's not stuff. And every year, those ashes become, more special to me. once he died, I had to have a sponsor, and I'm a hurry now. And I got Johnny Harris, and I know I'm breaking his anonymity in an open meeting, but he don't care. And we just celebrated on the end of June 26th, we all went to Long Beach, and we celebrated his 55th AA birthday party, you know. And so yesterday I was talking to Johnny, checking in. I said, Johnny, he said, what? I said, I got to go to Pennsylvania, all the way over there to speak. I said, is there any kids in here? I said, when can we stop? When can we say no to this crap? You know? And he just said, okay, I'll talk to you later, and hung up on me. When do we get, it's like Jimmy, what's he say? When do we get to say no? For 43 years I've been saying yes, and it's wonderful. I've had the most wonderful Alcoholics Anonymous time I went to. I represented shipbuilding, 3 women in the whole country. I spoke at a meeting on the Queen Mary, and I got panicked, and I said, my name is Barbara, and I'm an alcoholic. I got attention from those big presidents of those shipyards, I can tell you that. But I told them I was just joking with them to get their attention. You know what? AA had cleaned me up so good, you couldn't have paid them to believe I was an alcoholic. I'm telling you. And the little things like that have happened to me all my life. I have the most incredible life. I have 1 daughter. She's given me 2 grandsons, and now I have 2 son-in-laws. Now I have a daughter-in-law, you know. My life, I tell you, I don't know about you guys, but if life keeps you going, you know, I have to have AA to keep me not sinking and going, because life is going fast, you know. And I have babies. I have about 25 of them, 2 of them in France. And I'll have to tell you this, and I'm going to sit down. I have a baby that got sober in San Diego in 1980, I think it was. And then she went back to France. And then when we had our international in Minnesota, I started sponsoring her roommate, because she didn't have anybody to sponsor over there. They lived in Paris and went to meetings. And then Isabella got a little piece of money, and she bought a home over in Maribray, way over there. There are no AA meetings. And she's getting real sick. And she's being hospitalized. And I just know if she had any kind of AA meeting that she could go to, she may be able to hang on, because she loved AA. Now, she did say they have a little Bible study. I said, do anything to try to hang on. But I'm telling you this because you guys need to realize how lucky you are to have Alcoholics Anonymous and to have meetings. You can go to Nevada and go miles and miles and never get to an AA meeting. Go to Washington. So I tell people everywhere I go, it's so special when you have AA, and you have AA the way you have it here. You have good AA. And I'm going to close now because it's time to go. I think at 9:30, is that right? Okay. I don't want you throwing eggs at me. Anyway, when I was young, you know, I never knew how to pray. And my mother used to make me do that, now lay me down to sleep. And so I used to ask my mother, I said, Mom, what to pray for? You know, the more you pray, the longer you can stay up at night. And my mother used to say, pray for happiness. My mother said, when you have happiness, you'll have everything you need and everything you want. And the longer I'm in Alcoholics Anonymous, the more I'm convinced that Alcoholics Anonymous is the answer to that childhood prayer. And I want to thank you guys so much for being here. And stay sober tonight. Thank you.
That was totally epic. Thank you, Barb, for coming out. Please, it's customary for us to show a nice, warm Doylestown welcome and we'll form a line and thank Barb for coming out. She's traveled over 3 hours to get here to share her night with us tonight. That's pretty awesome. And one more time, thank you. We have John B. out of South Orange, New Jersey next week with an AA presentation in his talk. It'll be pretty darn epic, so hopefully you'll see us there. Please be reminded that we're not allowed to smoke anywhere on the property. And please help us finish up the food if there's any food left. We have a nice way of closing. If you care to join us, thank you for coming.